Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. It's I, as always, Gavin.
And I, Justin.
And we discuss a variety of rabbit holes. We talk about Volkswagen and Audis. Again, what a fucking surprise.
We talk about the new Tacoma that just dropped.
And we talk about adventuring up to Prudhoe Bay. Not that we've done it, but you kind of want to do it. And I found people that have done it on two-wheeled vehicles. So all of that and more on this episode of the Exhibition of Speed podcast. So I think it's a seasonal thing.
A seasonal thing, huh?
It first started in 2021, and I'm not exactly sure why or what the real catalyst for it was. But I started having an itch for motorcycles.
Oh, okay.
And then I started watching this YouTube channel, Dan the Fireman, who is a medic, or I think former medic. I don't know what he does full-time now. He might just do content full-time.
Yeah.
But his content that he does is reacting and educating people by using, reacting to videos of people crashing on motorcycles.
I've heard of this.
Yes, and he uses that to educate, and he will play a video all the way through. And then he'll play it again and pause and analyze. Okay, this is what this person did, and this is what they did wrong, and this is actually how you do it. And he offers courses to educate people and like all this other stuff.
Okay,
really helpful channel, and it was really helpful in scaring me the fuck away from motorcycles. So yeah, I binge watched DDFM, Dan the Fireman.
Yep,
and I binge watched him for probably a month or so, maybe 6 weeks. And then I was like, okay, with how crazy people are here. Because like at this time I was still working at the flower shop. And this is back when the flower shop was just one building.
Yeah.
And not expanded to one in Sugar House and one in downtown. And so I did have a thought of like, what if I got like a low powered motorcycle? Something that had like character, it was like fun to ride, like not a heavy bike.
Yeah.
And I would ride it from downtown and just take 7th East all the way down to 27th, hang a left, and I'm there at work, and it's like a nice little ride.
Yeah.
Well, people here are fucking crazy.
Yes.
I know everywhere else, people do say it's crazy, but Utah was ranked the worst state in the nation as far as like accidents and bad drivers.
Yep.
So I can actually back that up with evidence. Yeah. So that scared me away. Then. So 2021 to 2022, I was still like not really feeling motorcycles. I was like, yeah, that was probably just like a phase I had.
Yeah.
And then this year in 2023, I fell into this YouTube channel. I think I mentioned it before, C90 Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, Ed, he lives in Moab. He is English, and I fell into his channel by this overlanding group, actually, where someone shared a link to one of his videos. And he bought what he called a mini Jeep, which is something that looks just like a Willys. It's like an army green color.
Okay.
But it is a pint size, like kind of like a little bit bigger than a Power Wheels. I'll be honest.
It's an adult Power Wheels, basically.
Yeah. With an engine that I believe is actually still smaller than a 212 Predator.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, like a 212 would probably be an upgrade. And he took this from Logan and decided to drive it back home to Moab completely off-road.
Yeah, we actually did talk about this because we were looking him up when I was talking about the potential trip idea I had.
Yeah, and I actually found a video on RevZilla that actually these two guys go up to Prudhoe Bay.
Hell yeah. Okay.
One of them was on a C90, and one was on a Trail 125, which is the modern interpretation of that scooter.
Gotcha.
And they did it. They did it over like a few days. But they started from, I think it was Anchorage.
Fairbanks is where the road starts.
Or maybe Fairbanks, yeah.
Yeah.
Fairbanks up to Prudhoe Bay. And there's actually another bay type of area that is even more north than Prudhoe, where they went to.
Yeah, that's a wild trip on something like that.
Yeah.
That's torture beyond what I care to do.
Well, and they took camping stuff, and actually it didn't look that hardcore. Like, it compared to like how you've been kind of like drumming it up to be. I mean, one of them was on a 50-year-old scooter, and he made it.
So here's how it kind of goes. it's a big old asterisk of it depends heavily on factors out of your control. So there are like a 3 month section. There's a 3 month section where it's like actually not bad, which is probably when they did it.
Yeah.
Because it's like anywhere from late May to early August, roughly in that time frame.
Right.
You're pretty clear of any snow. It's about 70 degrees. Your biggest concern is like bugs. But since the road is driven so much, it is maintained and graded. So it's...
Oh, yeah, like all sorts of like work trucks, like, you know, service trucks and like tankers and shit drive through there all the time.
Yeah, because it is actually, despite the fact it's not paved, a public road. So it is maintained as such. And your biggest difficulties come from all just natural elements. And so if you go during the good season, you're actually likely to not be that much worse than any dirt canyon road here.
Yeah.
The craziest parts happen when you're either slightly outside of those areas or when you're actually in legit winter, because it is paved for winter.
Well, when are you going?
If I did it, it would be probably mid to late in the year. So probably like July, August, like if I did this.
So I just sent you the link.
Okay.
So you can watch the video. It's titled 1,000 Miles Across Alaska, 1975 Honda CT90 versus 2021 Trail 125.
Sweet. No, I'd probably go in that window because I wouldn't even mind going a little bit late. Not risky late, but a little bit later in the season because it starts to cool down a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as hot and buggy. Because the other goal of this is to not just do Prudhoe Bay, but to also do the road called Top of the World, which is only open for about 4 months of the year. Because then I can drive both of these roads, which are really cool, iconic roads, and I haven't hardly seen anybody except for some off-roaders that have very little views drive that Top of the World.
Yeah, go watch this RevZilla video.
Yeah.
It actually has 6.2 million views on it.
You know, I'm both surprised and not surprised at the same time.
Yeah.
Because that's a pretty cool feat on vehicles like that.
Yeah. These guys also, they went from the east border of Wyoming to the west border of Wyoming.
Nice.
Completely on dirt.
Hell yeah.
They even, not on these bikes, they had, hold on. I was also just watching this last night. But like they would run into like an interstate, and like each of both of them would pick up one bike and walk it across. They're like their one rule is
touch pavement.
Pavement is lava, is what they said.
Oh my god! I mean, I appreciate the sticking to the rules to the max.
Oh, it was
it was a
1975 Honda XL350 versus a '69 Yamaha DT1. For those that know bikes, one of them was a 4-stroke and one of them's a 2-stroke.
Yeah, which that makes it interesting in and of itself, especially with the 2-stroke.
Yeah,
you got to make sure to have oil and shit.
Yeah, they actually make really compelling content that is like something that their quality of content is something that I aspire to do.
Well, and that's
really good.
Yeah, ironically, although we've pretty much abandoned 2-strokes as a society for very obvious reasons.
Except for like weed whackers.
Except for small things. Like there's reasons why we don't make them anymore. Low torque, lots of emissions, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, mixing oil and gas.
Yep. There's a lot of annoyances, but there's also a lot of goods because they're also much simpler. So there's very little to go wrong. And they handle altitude much better.
Yeah.
So doing something like this with a 2-stroke is actually probably a little easier.
Probably.
Because of the fact you don't have valves. You eliminate a lot of your complexity.
Well, you're gonna have to watch this video to find out, Justin.
No, I will. This is really interesting, and it's one of the things I want to do. Because like, if I am going to do a trip like this,
you're gonna need to do some research.
I'm gonna need to do some research, and I do want to, like I said, go at a time where it is safe, but also not like, oh, I'm way damn in the middle of it. I'm way good. No, like I want at least a little bit of risk. I wouldn't mind going late enough to where it could snow, which would be like mid-August, but it's not going to snow in such a way that like I would get stranded.
Right.
Because it's Alaska. I want to see some snow. I don't want to just completely like, you know.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, there are views when you come up over, there is a ridge that they come up and over that was like maybe 100 miles before Prudhoe Bay that like it reveals like all of this like rocky, craggy, like, you know, ridge line, which looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, so that is actually, and I'm going to pull this up just to make sure I get the actual name of it. That ridge that you're referring to is the Adigan Pass. So that Adigan Pass is the highest maintained road in the world.
Wow.
So as far as altitude and the fact that it is still regularly plowed and maintained.
Yeah. Not paved, but maintained.
Maintained, yeah. Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's both highest and most northerly.
Yeah, I believe that.
So, because it does go up to, I think, 6,000 feet. And the way that they stipulated maintained is that it is daily maintained. Because there are roads that are weekly maintained that are higher than that.
Well, dude, I mean,
Yeah,
Nebo goes up to north of 9K.
Exactly. But it's shut down during the winter.
Yeah.
This
Pikes Peak
Pikes Peak
is paved all the way.
Yes, but it isn't technically a public like it is a public road, but it's not like quite the same. I don't know. There was some disclaimers as far as like how they like attribute.
I was gonna say like Pikes Peak goes to 14,000.
Yes,
but
they
paved.
But they do shut it down. It's not like daily maintained. Like if it does
Right.
get pretty crazy,
Well, not a lot of roads get daily maintained.
Exactly. So that's where this gets its thing, is that this is a road that never shuts down.
Yeah.
That is constantly used. Yeah, Adigan Pass is a pretty crazy portion of that because I think the drop on the other side, it's the only public road in the United States that actually exceeds what is the federal legal limit as a 7% grade, because this goes to a 12% grade.
Yeah. Jesus.
Can you? Oh man, on those bikes, that's kind of sketchy. It's whatever. But if you think about the 120,000-pound oil rigs going down that on dirt, that's sketchy.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of cool things there, and I wouldn't mind to go from Fairbanks to that top in a car. Like it's easily a 6-hour trip. It's not that bad, 6 to 8 hours.
Right.
I probably would break it up a little bit because there's some really cool camping spots and stuff you could do in the middle. Like there's a lot of. It's Alaska. There's a lot of beautiful shit you could do in the middle, regardless of season. So I wouldn't want to just straight bomb. I would want to enjoy it as well.
There is a video that they've also done. Is this CTXP? Yeah. Alaska to Patagonia via the Darien Gap.
Yep. Oh boy, did they actually attempt to drive through the Darien Gap? Is what it sounds like.
I don't know.
I'll have to watch that.
My recommended here. I'll open this and send it to you.
Because there isn't any roads, and as far as I'm aware, actually, there's certain portions it's actually illegal to drive through because it's a nature preserve.
Well, I mean, the video is titled "Where the Road Ends."
Interesting.
What did they ride? Is my question. Oh, it doesn't say in the description what they rode. But, anyways, this was not actually intended to be an advert for Revzilla because they don't need the fucking the shout.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's just like some other rabbit hole I've been falling into.
Yeah.
As well as, watches and film photography and cars and etc.
No, rabbit holes are fun. There's one, which I'll just briefly mention this because it's not really that relevant to overall what we talk about, that I fell into. It's a bounty hunter. His name's Bounty Tank, and he has a YouTube channel. But the only reason I mention that is if you were into the show like Cops back in the day,
I guess
this is Cops, but not filtered. It's hilarious.
Is it more racist than Cops?
Well, I would say it's difficult to determine.
Ooh.
Because
that show is fucking problematic as fuck.
It is. This, I would say less, because Tank and all of his guys, they are black, so they are actually all in their own community. And he's pretty cool in the fact that, like, he is a bail bondsman and a bounty hunter, but, like, he does try to help people out. He's...
Okay.
Like, he'll go get him, be like, you missed court and shit. Like, get back in there. I'll get your ass back out, but don't miss court. Like, he kind of is trying to do good for his own community.
Okay.
So
that's less problematic then.
Very less problematic.
Okay.
But it is interesting to see the shit that he gets up to. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's been my binge recently. But you want to know somebody that does need help? I did see this the other day, and this is car related.
Uh-oh. Who needs help?
So there's a YouTuber that is very large that I haven't watched regularly in a while. That's an automotive YouTuber.
Do I know him?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Does he live here?
No. That has, we'll just say, fallen from grace, because I went and looked at like his current video views.
Oh, I know who you're gonna say. Did we see him in L.A. in a purple McLaren?
Yes.
Oh boy.
He,
okay.
with about 2.5 million subscribers, guess how much views his like last year of videos is getting?
Well, so we're talking about Parker Nierenstein from Vehicle Virgins,
Yes.
ex Coke habit haver.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if he's actually ex. He probably still is on Coke, but
Who knows?
I haven't given a single view to him, not for any like specific reason other than just cringy content.
Yep.
In probably 7-8 years.
I'm probably like 5, but ever since then.
I mean,
that just happened.
if we're talking about percentages like Lost, like I'm going to say he's probably a fifth of what he was.
I think probably even less.
Really?
His recent videos haven't even been breaking 10K.
Are we talking about videos or reels?
Videos.
Wow.
Wait,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, here, let me, like, they've been breaking between like 9 and none of them I don't think have broken like 20.
Jesus.
Yeah, here, let me pull it up real quick. It's been like, wow. I knew that I hadn't seen much from him in a while. Like, I don't get recommended his shit for whatever reason.
Algorithm shit.
Yeah,
If you started watching his stuff again, you would.
I would. But like, here we go. Videos. And
Is he like still trying to like, present in like a Stradman style kind of thing?
he's kind of changed, and I think that might be part of the problem because he's now doing other weird shit like hosting car meet. But yeah, like 11K, 7.6K, 15, 12. There's 21. So there was one.
Wow.
But like from where he was
He's getting millions.
Yeah. Where he was either regularly cracking millions, or I would say his average was probably 90K. Like for an average video, if you
90K and a million is is a big gap,
I
but
know.
still.
But you look at him like 10K, 19K, 14K, 8.5. Like, wow.
Bro, we have like, not including the Audi video, we have other videos that have eclipsed that. Like, what are we at with my Trailblazer video did pretty well.
Yeah,
considering it was filmed in 2019.
Yeah, it's up in the 20s, I think.
And I thought it was like 11.
Yeah, it's up more, but like I saw that and I was shocked. Like somebody that has been on YouTube for over a decade that at this point is
and has been under the microscope of things
a long time and was not the starter of, but on the forefront of really
our Volkswagen video is more popular than some of his shit.
Some of his new shit. Yeah.
Midwest. So the Trailblazer, the modified Trailblazer is at 13. Our 32s is 14. Our Minis is at 11. Also, our Fiat 500 and Fiesta ST video, which is like not really a great video, even like is at 11.
And granted, the one caveat we do have to get is that he's still getting these views in like the first 24 hours. But from there, it seems they just die.
Sure.
So like he has like we'll say around 10,000 dedicated of his 2.5 million subscribers.
Yeah.
They view and then it's done.
That's nuts.
It's wild. That is quite the like damaged reputation or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, I mean, it was definitely damaged reputation. People definitely tuned the fuck off.
Well, and after he moved to Cali about 5 years ago, because I think that's 5 or 6, whenever it was years ago, from Michigan. That's really where his content started to change a lot. And then about 3 years ago is probably.
Well, isn't that also when like Daily Driven Exotics moved from Canada to LA?
Yes.
Okay.
They all kind of converged at the same time, and his content changed a lot because he got. Seemed to be doing good for a while because that was when I started viewing for a very brief period and then stopped.
Yeah.
But it's clearly not been kind to him over the years.
Kids don't do drugs.
Yeah, kids don't do drugs.
Only do natural drugs, I guess. I don't know.
I guess. Smoke them if it's legal.
Yeah. Hey, man, if it comes out of the ground.
I know. It's all good for you.
Yeah.
No, I saw that and it was pretty flabbergasted.
I also keep forgetting how long our NSX film was.
Yeah. An hour and...
I forgot it was a 90-minute film.
Yeah.
I keep on thinking it was like less than an hour, but...
Nah, that's wild. But actually, if you're listening to this, the previous day, speaking of films, we'll have a Mark 8 GTI review coming out.
Yeah. I definitely took a poo on a Mark 8 GTI. I mean, a brief summation. If you have a Mark 7 or a Mark 7.5, and if you're thinking about upgrading, don't bother because it drives the same. The infotainment is worse.
Yep.
If you feel like you want to make more power, if you live in Utah, integrated engineering is just down the street. If you want to, or there's APR Unitronic. There's another one that Andrew went with.
Either way, it's Volkswagen. There's plenty of options.
Yeah.
You've got so many options. I didn't drive this one. This was Gavin and Jaden.
Shout out Jaden.
But I don't feel like I missed much. I don't have
really
an intention to. Like, I would love to actually physically sit in one of their interiors to personally experience how bad it is.
Right.
Other than that, I don't really have a want or a care.
Guess what? It drives exactly like your all-track.
Exactly. There isn't a fucking difference.
Something that I am actually intrigued with, though, is the Mark 8 Golf R, because they've revised hull decks even more. There is a drift mode in it.
Yep.
Not that I want to try to beat Chem Block, but I do want to see how that new hull decks acts in corners and, getting the back end to maybe at least meet the front end.
So here's the thing. One of the weird things is that it's actually not hull decks at all.
What do you mean?
They completely ditched hull decks.
When?
Mark 8 Golf R.
Is it Volkswagen internal? But it's a hull decks-like system, though.
So that's where I'm a little confused, because I told that to somebody and they corrected me saying, actually, it's not hull decks and it is very different.
Who corrected you?
I don't know, but it was I think it might have been Carson, because he knew that it wasn't hull
So
decks
it's
whatsoever.
not a front-wheel drive car that has clutch packs in the back that it feeds power to when necessary?
That's where I'm a little confused, and I need to do more research to figure out what is different, because it's different enough to where they did their own thing. They changed the name, whatever that can mean. It could be the same, just self-developed. But it's different enough to where it is, I think, more active than hull decks.
Well, so there was a thing that happened with the RS3 last year. I think it was last year.
Yeah.
And Farah got kind of roasted for this.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate, because he was just parroting what the marketing people at the event were saying.
Yeah.
And even he checked in with engineers and they corroborated this, but what the reality is up to 50% of the power can be sent to the back.
Okay.
And 100% of that 50% can be sent to either rear wheel. Okay?
Yes.
So the rear wheels can overdrive the other rear wheel. Okay?
Okay.
It's not like it's a car that can be a Corvette immediately.
Yeah.
What was told, I'm trying to remember what the fuck was told. It's in his review. I think the review is probably still up.
Mm-hmm.
But people were thinking that, like, you could send basically any amount of power to the back.
Yeah.
Which is not true. You can, and I would be frankly flabbergasted if they change anything from the RS3 to the Golf R. It's probably the same thing, but up to 50% can be sent to the back, and of that 50%, each wheel in the back can have 100% of that 50.
Okay, so I just pulled up this right here, which is a deep dive.
Can you?
Yep, that's what I'm bringing up to you, of exactly what it is and what's different. So it is not clutches.
Interesting.
So it has ditched clutches completely.
That's
it
good.
starts right here. For the Mark 8, Volkswagen has moved on from Haldex-style electric clutches known as Magnetorque vectoring. It's an electronically controlled system which has a greater amount of things. So it seems like what they're doing is basically ditching the fluid and clutch altogether. And this can send more than 50% to the rear end, it seems.
It says Haldex could only send... Okay, so where does it say that it can send more than 50?
By them phrasing this, Haldex could only send up to 50% of the drive to the rear end, and each wheel got 50% of that. But in a hard cornering situation, the new one can send more torque to the outside wheel. So, like, they don't stipulate it. And that's what makes me wonder.
So what's happening is it still sends up to 50%, but it can use more of that 50% per rear wheel that can overdrive the other rear wheel.
Yeah, and it just seems they changed the method. So, like, yes, the basic platforming, of course, is still very similar as far as it, but it seems that they ditched fluid and they're using probably magnets is what it sounds like to engage and disengage this. Just a total redesign and rethink of how it functions, and then given the ability to do dynamic torque vectoring between the wheels.
That kind of means nothing until you drive it, though.
That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
Because being that it isn't actual Haldex license for the first time in over 2 decades, I'm wondering what is the feeling difference.
Yeah.
Can you actually feel the difference in the seat? I'm assuming yes, because the Mark 8 has gotten some pretty rave reviews.
Yeah. And when you actually see video of like the back end coming around from people that aren't Chris Harris.
Yes. So that's what I'm thinking is that since they don't stipulate whether or not it is more than 50%, that's what I would love to do some more research and find. Maybe because if it could do like 60 or even 70% of the rear wheels,
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does unless maybe that drift mode during those spurts could enable that, but I don't know.
Maybe. I was under the impression that the GR Corolla and I guess Yaris for those that don't live here are the only real hot hatchbacks that can send more than 50 to the rear.
And that's probably correct. I just wish they gave a number in here. But they don't.
On this Mighty Car Mods article.
Yeah. Which I do trust them. Clearly they've got images and have talked to somebody. Yeah. Whoever it is.
Yeah. Tune in next time when we have maybe an update on this, or maybe not.
Oh yeah, I'll see if I can fuck around and find out.
Yeah,
but that's the only Mark 8 that would interest me for very obvious reasons. Other than that, I mean, it's funny how Audi Volkswagen centric we've been on a lot of our content, considering how not much of the new stuff interests me whatsoever.
They're the only thing from Audi that interests me is kind of the RS3.
Yep.
I mean, the R8's great. Would love to drive a new one.
Yeah.
Would love to drive a first-gen V10 with a gated manual. Think that would be awesome.
That'd be hilarious and fantastic.
That'd be great. But none of the golf platform cars really interest me. I like RS3. I wish we got the like a hatch version of RS3. I think that would be like tits, honestly. Yeah. Like, imagine a 5-cylinder turbo with DSG and a hatchback form factor that's all-wheel drive.
I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I would love that too.
Yeah, and they would probably sell for double MSRP if they sold it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, have you seen some of the GR Corolla listings?
Someone sold one for 80, I saw.
So I don't know about sold. However, on cars.com, there has been an Auto Trader. There has been some listed for 110 to 130 from actual dealers.
Get the fuck out of here.
Oh yeah, so double
blacklist,
double MSRP.
Fuck them all.
Double approaching triple. Like
Jesus.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's insane.
I
mean, like asking for the Maurizio, and that's the one that would be selling for that, or at least listed for that. I mean, a Maurizio for 4K, more or less. Maybe, out the door with taxes and, all that stuff for sub 60.
Yeah.
That's a lot to ask for a Corolla.
Yeah.
It really, because the magical shit that's in that car is things that are like under the skin. They're not things that you're interacting with. I mean, the gauge cluster is still out of a Corolla. Infotainment, I mean, the seats are a bit different. And yes, you have a manual gearbox and all-wheel drive and a 3-cylinder 1.6 that, makes 300 horsepower.
But everything you interact with from a driver is technically
like
still Corolla.
Like the touch points and stuff are. The way it drives is not like a Corolla, and it's probably not like anything else that's really on the market right now.
Yeah.
Still have yet to drive one. Got our eyes open.
Yep.
Keeping our eyes peeled, but yeah, it doesn't, like, for a day-to-day driver, it doesn't offer anything that's beyond even, say, like an STI.
No. The things that you would get to truly experience why that car's worth its money would either be on a track or on a canyon road, like something that wouldn't be done on the daily.
Right. Did you see the GR Yaris that I shared?
Yes.
So this company in Australia called PowerTune, they modified a GR Yaris to make 740 fucking horsepower. It's insane. The dynograph that's showing here says that it goes up to 8,100 RPM.
That's high.
That is a screamer. Actually, wait. I'm seeing the line actually go to like 8,500. I think it makes peak power at 81 and goes to 85. So I mean that's forged connecting rods and pistons and crankshaft and like crazy like valves and valve springs.
It's a full
retainers
build.
Like that is a full engine build. But
yeah,
fucking cool.
Interesting. Like that's a wild amount of power for that small of a car.
Yeah, for something that can fit in your pocket.
Yeah,
and it has power to rival a demon. Like, oh, you thought your demon was fast? Oh, that's adorable with your 2-wheel drive 5,000-pound fucking couch.
Watch my mouse take that thing.
Exactly.
Oh,
Squirt.
That's wild. It does make you wonder where. Actually, that's a good question. It makes you wonder where like Toyota as a whole is going to eventually try to take the GR brand, because they have been pretty vocal that they're not interested in going full electric at the moment.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, would they potentially, maybe a few years down the road, release a next gen GR86 that maybe is like a hybrid, like hybrid assisted?
Well, that would negate the entire ethos of what the GR86 is, because the GR86 is supposed to be a pure. The reason why they haven't turbocharged it yet.
Yeah. Pure lightweight sports car.
Lightweight, front engine, rear drive manual. You can't get an auto, but why?
Yeah.
Sports car. And I did see something this week, though, that there was a possible teaser of a GR Prius.
Honestly, with how fire the new Prius looks,
I saw the rear end
cool.
of one the other day when I met up with Gervinder.
I'm not gonna lie, I would kind of fuck with that.
That'd be interesting.
It'd be kind of cool.
It would be yeah. I'd like to see what the actual fuel economy of like real world of that would be, going up hills and shit.
It would be funny if you could still crack like 30 while hooning it.
That would be awesome.
In a GR Prius.
I'm here for it. Yes, please, more of that.
I really wish that would happen. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But here's another weird thing that would have happened yesterday but didn't. So do you remember a couple weeks ago how there was all those rumors going around that Hyundai was going to make that N Vision 74 concept?
Yeah, it's not.
So yesterday was the day that was allegedly supposed to be released.
Oh, that was Pony Day, right?
Yep, it came and went. Nothing happened.
Okay.
But here's the stupid thing. There have been more rumors circulating around that like the CEO has talked, which just muddied the waters even more, basically saying, quote, absolutely, we are serious about this. This could come into production. We have the platform. It's a motorsport platform. This isn't just a baseline concept. This is a legit functioning product that we have aspirations for. So
okay,
whole bunch of PR speak.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder where it's going. But somebody actually on a Facebook group had, I think, a good theory. So their theory was that the current functioning concept is a 670 horsepower hydrogen fuel cell car.
Yeah.
Their theory was that, well, the likelihood of that going into production as it sits for anywhere near a reasonable price is basically nil. Mm-hmm. But if they took that body and dropped, I don't know, their 3.3 twin turbo into it in a rear drive platform.
I mean, that would be awesome. That's car guy dreaming right there.
It is. So like he had a good point. He's like, they have an existing platform with the Genesis Dash Stinger that already is a longitudinal rear-based platform that they could drop into that if they wanted to put that car into production,
right.
Maybe just without the hydrogen shit.
Yeah.
Because guaranteed, if it did keep that, it would be $120,000+ car because of the technology and shit that's in there.
Probably, yeah.
Which, I don't know. Depending on how good it is, maybe it could be worth that. Nobody knows. Like this thing.
I mean, it's hard to determine. I mean, at least at our automotive education level, it's hard to determine an actual value of a hydrogen car that's actually fast, that has that kind of styling and that kind of like R&D. Sure, but probably like 120 to 150, probably.
Yeah, and then the final thing he said is that if they do put it into production, it would be a limited series, so it wouldn't be on the dealer floor. You would have to order it through Hyundai,
right?
Which actually makes
the gray market for that.
Oh my god! Which does make me wonder. It almost sounds like with the way they phrased that they would actually be bypassing dealers. I don't know.
But gray market individuals flipping shit.
They would flip shit. Yeah. So we'll see. I was just not very surprised to see that day come and go with no announcements. Yeah. Sad, but not surprised.
Yeah.
Because that thing doesn't.
You were more hopeful than I was. I was like, I don't see this actually happening.
I was cautiously optimistic. Like, that would be cool. And they did put more work into that, given how much of a fully functioning product and prototype it is, than usually would be the case. Who knows? It just, we'll just have to wait and see. It would be cool, but I kind of see it and don't all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's wild. Oh my God.
Oh wait, it's 11.
It is. So our video has dropped.
Our video has dropped. Have I gotten the notification? Yes, I have. Look at that.
Same here. Nice. Well, if you want to go check out Gavin shitting on a Mark 8, please do, because it'll be also funny to read the comment section and see how many people are.
Oh, you got this wrong. You got that wrong.
I think there'll be less of that on this
Probably.
particular video.
Bro, why you gotta hate on Volkswagen? Because they're fucking boring. That's why.
I got a text from a certain individual that we both know that was happy and shocked that he found out that the Q3 comes in a manual in Europe.
Is this Randall?
No.
Interesting.
Other Volkswagen. Or like a Volkswagen
Oh,
person.
Volkswagen person.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I responded like,
Cool, great.
yeah.
I'm sure it's ass.
I'm both not surprised because it is a MQB platform
yeah.
and not interested whatsoever.
It's probably like a little 1.6 or 1.4.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, I that doesn't make that car better.
Nope.
Just as much as I've heard the argument that the fact that I got an automatic Tacoma makes my Tacoma worse, which granted, it is a very shit automatic. I will
But it's
give
also
you
a
that.
shit manual, too.
Yeah, it's choosing from two.
The new Taco. We haven't even talked about that yet. Because
Actually,
the
yeah.
last time I saw you was before Overland Expo.
So let me get that pulled up here.
Which the car or the truck got revealed at Overland Expo, but there was also an event, a press event that was, I think, in Hawaii.
Sorry, this is some fantastic internet backend bullshit. Search Toyota Tacoma. Consider the Honda Ridgeline is the first sponsored ad.
Well done.
Oh, man. Whoever just did that SEO backend shit, you deserve a raise because that's hilarious. Good job.
1 gold star.
You did your job well.
Oh my God.
No, like, oh, that's funny. It pulled up the old Tacoma. No, looking at the new, there it is, 2024 Tacoma. No, looking at it, I am fairly intrigued and excited.
If we're going to start off with styling in this discussion, that is absolutely predictable and typical of Toyota, because look at the trucks that just came out before it.
Yep.
Being the new Sequoia, the new Tundra, with the not quite Predator Maw from Lexus, but the big grille, redesigned headlights. I'm not really a fan. I mean, okay, in that pre-runner, or what's that trim called again with like that the next one. That one.
They call it, I think it is the pre-runners.
No, it's something else.
Let's see, iForce Max. They had the trims on here. Oh yeah, choose your adventure. So they have the TRD Pro.
The suspension seats.
Trail Hunter. There it is.
Yeah, in the Trail Hunter trim, so what I was about to get into is the fake grills that are below the headlights.
Yep.
Aesthetically, with like the roof rack and like the almost Chevy Avalanche rear, like 45-degree angle bracket, I guess. That's got to be just a Molly panel bracket. Like, the vibe is there. I'm still not into the fake grills below the headlights. That's kind of my only real design qualm with it. I think it's totally understandable, like the direction that they're going with. I know it's one engine that's powering all trims, but there's just a different, like one's a hybrid and one isn't. There's 3 options for power, though. I do know that.
Yeah.
They're all turbo 2.4s.
Yeah, they're all turbo 2.4s. Yeah, so like the TRD Pre-Runner, SR5, and SR, so the base ones are all just a 2.4 turbo.
And then the Trail Hunter is a hybrid.
Yeah, so it looks like the TRD Sport and North, so all the mid and up trims are actually all the same. 326 all the way down.
326 and 465 torque.
Yeah.
So that's going to scoot.
That's a hefty amount of torque.
I'm going to be interested to see how many Trail Hunters, like, at least Utah gets.
Yeah.
I could see, somewhat, not, I don't want to say hype beast because that's kind of an overplayed term, but people that want the latest and greatest shit, no one's trading their Raptor in for this.
No.
But there might be some people that want to get, maybe 4Runner fanboys or Taco fanboys are just going to trade up for the next shit, and they're going to be like, oh, this is like the one to get.
So here's the thing. There's a couple things I'm interested or excited about this. So on the Trail Hunter specifically, one of my qualms with the TRD Pro is that it is only offered in a short bed. The Trail Hunter is offered in the 6-foot bed.
Okay. It's a 5-foot bed for the short one?
Yep.
Okay.
So that is interesting, given that they have been adamant about never offering the TRD Pro in a long bed. Understandable. It's not. It makes it worse for off road, et cetera, et cetera. I get it, but it's still like, I think it'd be cool to be offered. So seeing that the Trail Hunter, which is very close to the TRD Pro, is offered, and that is cool. I'm also curious about fuel mileage because.
That's why they have this engine.
Exactly. It is powerful, but like how much mileage can you really eke out of it if you're just using it daily? Because that is supposed to be one of the benefits of a hybrid.
Right.
And my Tacoma, even with having its shell, it's more aerodynamic than it was, so that helped. But with my stuff loaded in there, I can usually achieve 18 to 20 average.
Well, you have when you fill yourself up with water, like that's 600 pounds right there.
Yeah, I go down the road weighing about 5,500 pounds compared to the roughly 4,100 the truck weighs empty.
Wow, you load 1,400 pounds on that?
That's why I have airbags.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's given that I'm able to get that fuel economy with the old ass engine and tech that's in mine, it does make me wonder, like, does this go up to the mid-20s? Does it even, in certain trims, potentially touch 30? Because on the limited and off-road, so there's been a lot of talk about the big lower air dam on...
Which is removable.
Which is removable, exactly, on these ones. And their whole point about that was to meet modern standards with most trims, this is required to, like, get the average person up to a decent fuel economy for aerodynamics.
Can we hold this 1 second?
Yeah. Let me click the pause button. We'll be right back to me. Okay. So, no, on most of these trims, they talked about how like they have this large lower air dam, which is removable, like you said.
Yeah.
That was to help with aerodynamics and gas mileage.
Getting the air around the tires.
Yeah, so it does make me quite interested to know how well that would actually do. Because the one reason to buy, for instance, a Colorado is the available diesel that will get almost 30 miles per gallon, like 28 to 30 if you're careful, which is great. And I wish that we in the U.S. would have the privilege of having some of Toyota's diesels that the rest of the world gets, because they're just about the best diesels you can buy for a small truck. We don't. We still don't, sadly. But this might be the second best thing, is getting a hybrid like this, and also going from a 6-speed auto to a 10-speed. Okay.
What's the 10-speed out of?
It might be, I don't know if it'd be out of anything else, actually.
You think it's bespoke?
Actually, it would be shared with the 4Runner. I don't think the current 4Runner has it, because the current 4Runner, it looks like, hasn't been like changed for 2024 yet.
Right.
So probably...
And that makes sense. Did that happen last time too? Did the Taco come out first and then the 4Runner followed suit?
Yep. So I think it's probably going to be the same thing. So maybe 25, the new 4Runner comes out with the same trans. So it might be launching first with this.
Probably.
Because they are the same rough platform.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see, to see your reviews about like how the truck drives. Like, here's the thing: people, mostly boomers or boomer-minded folks, will be like, "Oh, it doesn't have the V6. I can't have a hybrid in my pickup truck." Like, okay, if you drive one, you're not gonna be missing the all-gas engine.
Yeah, because you joke about me being a boomer all the time. However, I don't hold any of those opinions. I've put 103,000 miles on my Tacoma.
You've also grown up a little bit.
The reality is, I couldn't give a shit less what's under the hood.
Yeah.
That V6 to me is fine. It is adequate. Like, there's a lot of people that will joke that, like, oh, it's so fucking slow. It's a truck.
Tool for job.
Exactly. It is a truck. It doesn't need to scoot like a TRX at all.
No.
There's specific tools for specific jobs. That's a different tool than a work truck.
Yeah.
And this, given it is a power bump and a major torque bump over my truck, is a better tool for the job, arguably.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really curious about this, and I'm also curious about the seats that you mentioned, the isodynamic seats with the air cushioning. So how it works is it is just air. You fill it up with basically just an air chuck like you do with tires. And then you can use those knobs to adjust it. And they have... What?
Oh, I just don't care.
I know you don't, but I'm curious to see how this works. So that's fine if you don't care.
Okay.
But maybe other people do, Gavin. There are other opinions besides yours. Anyways, so they ship it with a chart that basically says if you're this weight, put this much PSI in it. And given that semi-trucks have been like that for a long time, I'm curious to see how they are, because this is on the floor. Like, there's not much spring that can like truly bounce and go on.
Well, they said it's like what, like a 7% improvement or something.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's cool, but like how well does it actually help?
It just, yeah. When I see that, I just think gimmick.
Very expensive gimmick.
Like, why? I mean, actually, I'll tell you why. They probably saw the new M4 seats, and M3 seats, and I think this is an attempt to make the truck look and feel more upmarket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, it's always been expensive. That's one thing. My Tacoma was still $43,000.
Yeah.
They've always been expensive small trucks. And honestly,
well, you say always, maybe for the past 3 to 5 years.
And for that, you haven't really gotten as much for your money as I maybe would hope. There's a few nice off-road features.
Not at first, but when you go 200,000 miles,
that's where your money's spending.
Yeah, but it's all about the R&D and the longevity and how robust the truck is.
But as I've argued before, like there's some things that they skipped over that they really shouldn't have. Like 2019, no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but it is a full touchscreen, and I have the highest package. That's pathetic.
Yeah.
Thankfully, obviously, this one fixes all those problems, and I am also very curious about the interior because it looks like a miniature version of what they did with the Tundra, which I've sat in one of those. I actually liked it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it did. It not only felt good, but everything seemed thoughtfully and functionally laid out.
Yeah.
So I am curious to see this. The one complaint I have about the interior is the gigantic iPad. Holy shit, that is huge.
Yeah, but it fills the dash well, though. It's not like, and I've never really understood or liked the Ram trucks.
Yeah.
With the vertical display that to my brain just doesn't really compute.
Yeah.
This in the Tacoma is still landscape instead of portrait.
Yeah, and it works better than most. I agree with you on that. It's not quite as tacked on as some. I still think it's like kind of intrusive to the cabin.
I bet you'd get used to it though.
I'm sure you would.
I wouldn't not buy it because of that.
No, that's my only real gripe with it. Looking at everything else looks like a thoughtful redesign and change from my current one. Because the thing is, my current 3rd-gen Tacoma, it shares more than 50 to 60% of its parts with a 2nd-gen. Realistically, this is the first time they've redesigned the Tacoma since 2007.
Yeah.
So almost a decade and a half.
I actually, design-wise, have more of a bone to pick with like the HVAC that's below the screen than the screen itself. That's
become more of a trend on a lot of vehicles. Like a lot of cars, especially. In fact, even the new 992s, they got moved down pretty significantly.
Yeah.
But in that car, you're sitting low enough, it's not a problem.
Yeah. Also, I mean, okay, so they fitted this with new seats. How's the riding position?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
Is it actually going to hurt my knees?
Yeah, it does make you wonder. And has it actually, granted, they did give this finally for like the 22 model year. Does it actually still have like height adjust? Because mine doesn't even have a height adjust. My truck.
Oh, really?
Nope. You couldn't
I know yours doesn't have height adjust, but the 22s do?
Yes.
Oh,
they finally gave it electric seats in 2022.
Oh, you meant for the seats, not for the... I thought you said meant for the truck.
No.
I was like, really?
I'm talking about, no, you couldn't get electric seats whatsoever until
That's hilarious.
22 in Tacomas.
Yeah.
Really hilarious, especially since 4Runners have had them since like 2007.
Yeah. Well, most cars have had them since the mid-2000s or early 2000s.
Yeah, so I'm wondering about the main creature comforts because it does look like the cabin height has improved quite a bit because that's one complaint, understandably, for a lot of people is it is a really narrow cabin to give it the ground clearance it had. So it looks like they've done all the right changes, and I'm really excited to actually physically see one at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool if we did a review on one.
Yeah. Naturally, I've already had salesmen from the place I bought mine reach out and be like, hey, you going to upgrade? I was like,
give me a 24-hour test drive, and I'll beat the shit out of it, and maybe I'll consider.
Yeah, like, the reality is... the creature comfort upgrade would be good, and I'm sure there would be a mile per gallon upgrade, but like...
Oh, there definitely would be.
But the amount of money I would have to pay obviously wouldn't...
For you, wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah, it wouldn't get outweighed. Like, even if I got up to 26 miles a gallon average, even if it was as much as that, I
You
wouldn't.
know how long it takes to recoup money from improved fuel mileage?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
It's years,
Yeah.
even if it's like a substantial bump.
Yeah, it wouldn't be worth the extra. I mean, I don't even know. Like, fortunately,
Well, pricing hasn't even come out on this yet, has it?
nope.
Okay,
So we don't even know.
The Trail Hunter is probably going to be a $65,000 truck, probably.
Yeah, we'll have to see because right now the outgoing stuff is $51K for the TRD Pro.
Wow.
So I don't know. I really don't know. I could see.
Yeah, high 50s, low 60s is what I'm thinking for like top trim.
I wonder because I can see that given how much this has changed, but it also makes me wonder if they would risk going that much higher.
I bet they would.
I'm going to shoot.
Also markup.
Mm-hmm.
I think seeing these for like the Trail Hunters, seeing them for 75 is going to be pretty common, I imagine.
See, my thought is actual MSRP for like Trail Hunter TRD Pro territory is going to be 55. So like a roughly 1,000 more than current gen.
It's got. I mean, with the money that it takes to engineer that hybrid system, and turbos, and everything else that's kind of going on, and also redesigned the exterior and interior, and developed those seats and everything else, it's got to be more than that.
The only reason I don't think it is because of how long they've been banking on the same exact truck. They've probably pocketed away a lot of money to do this, and they also know that they are going to be selling this for a decade. Or longer. So
maybe.
I don't know. I'm really curious to see, like, if, for instance, with my TRD off-road being 43K, I could imagine the new TRD off-road for the 2024 being like...
Well, your truck is also 4 years old.
Yes. But they haven't changed in MSRP pricing. Again, that's not including markup. We don't know.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck that would be. But as far as MSRP is concerned, they didn't really hike. They were still at around 43, even this model year. So I'm going to assume that a TRD off-road like mine would go for 46 and that a TRD Pro Trail Hunter would go for 55 MSRP. I imagine we'll see it pretty soon. Pricing is probably a month out.
Yeah.
Because
only time will tell.
Yeah. But I am super excited, though, that it does look like the Tundra, and I think they finally made the right move with this entire thing.
I think they did. Yeah.
Because for better or for worse, Tacomas have just been one of the staples, and they have been quite dated for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, the last year was kind of dated when it came out.
It was.
Even. Like, it was... Yeah, it was on, like, the trailing end when it launched in 2017. Mm-hmm. And then they just kept on making the same shit for, like, 6 years.
And to me, the thing that's funny about that is they have always been trucks that, like... The reviews from journalists are shit. It's hilarious. Journalists hate them because of that fact, because they're dated and they don't drive as well. And Ford and Chevy have gone to great lengths to make like the Colorado and the Ranger much nicer to drive.
Yeah.
But then the people that own them, not really even me, because like I own it as a tool, but somebody that would own it because they really want to own that thing.
Yeah.
They love it because... For better or for worse, they're correct in that it'll just last forever. And as far as off-roading is concerned, they're one of the best platforms to build off.
They can be, yeah.
They're just a bunch of Legos. So.
Yeah, we you know how many white 4Runners I've seen in the last month at my shop?
Dozens.
Not dozens, but I've seen 4.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, another white 4Runner. How predictable.
Which makes it even more frustrating that even... yesterday, as I was heading to a job in my tan Tacoma, or as many people have called it, iced coffee colored Tacoma,
or beige,
like even just stopping to pick up something real quick from O'Reilly's, the lady's like, "Oh my gosh, wow, I love that truck," and it frustrates the shit out of me because I bought it as a tool, and I've owned so many cars that are much more interesting and much rarer than that thing.
Yeah,
and yet. That is tied with the stinger and the Saab, with the attention it gets.
Yeah.
It kind of pisses me off.
You should get a Fiesta ST. No one talks about my car.
No one gives a shit. However, did you see that our good friend Zach?
Did I see? Bro, he's been like... Yes, I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, he was asking me all sorts of questions, leading up to it. He had the car shipped from with CarMax to LA.
Okay.
for those that don't know what's going on here, a friend of ours from this group, Motoring United, Zach, he just picked up a black 2018 Fiesta ST. It's basically stock. It had some sort of catback on it that, because he lives in California, had to be reverted, which sucks.
Yeah.
Just the other night, he was trying to figure out how to get Apple CarPlay going.
Yeah.
It's a 2018, so I thought I would have already had it. It has Sync 3.
But I guess it didn't get the update.
I know they did, though. So I told him to go to the Ford website and get the Sync 3 update, because I don't know when Sync 3 came to those cars initially. Maybe it's like 20. Maybe I think my car might have been the first year, actually. It might have been 2016.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or maybe 15. But there is an update to Sync 3 that allows for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go to Ford's website, you download the software, stick it on a flash drive, and you plug the flash drive in. You wait about 35 to 40 minutes, and ta-da,
you're done.
Your car is now modern.
Yeah.
So he was trying to figure out how to do that. But yeah, so the cars that he's come from, he's coming out of an NA Miata, an NA6 to be exact. So like a white with tan top, 1.6 Miata. And what was, he had some like Mercedes CL? Or no, it was like, it was a big body 2-door coupe.
I think it was still a C. I don't think it was any.
No, it wasn't a C.
Let me see. Haha.
There's a CLS, maybe.
It may have been. I think
a first gen CLS, something that was, German-made Mercedes. It had a fuckload of miles. It had like 250,000 miles on it, I think, when he got rid of it, or approaching that at least.
Yeah, I know it was pretty well done. Like lots.
It was very done.
Yeah, lots of miles in time in that car.
And I think him owning that car has kind of
CLK 320.
Yeah, CLK 320.
Yep.
That kind of damaged, I think, a perspective of car ownership, because things kind of kept breaking, similar to another friend of ours that owns a Subaru.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No. Sorry, space of where I was going with that. But yeah, so that happened, and then he bought a Miata, like, kind of right after I got my Fiesta, actually. Like, we were both looking at getting new attainable dream cars at the same time.
Yeah.
His was just a Miata and mine was my Fiesta.
Yeah.
And so that has been, in the grand scheme of things, pretty trouble-free. There have been a couple of things that have come up more recently.
Yeah.
And the car is, I think, approaching 200,000 miles as well. It's really clean for being, that high miles.
Yeah, he started to have basically the normal problems you would have with most any car, but specifically Miatas. Like, it's starting to consume some oil, and
there's something like a control arm or something.
Control arm, and I think he had to do a head gasket as well.
Yeah.
So, again, normal shit that would happen on a 200,000-mile car, especially
yeah, and his tolerance, I guess, from owning that Mercedes kind of lowered, and so that car, he's ditching the Miata. I mean, I don't know. He's also had the Miata for 3 years, so
yeah, it's not that soon.
Okay, you owned a Miata, you've had that experience. He's moving on. It's okay, cool, great. And so now he's in the Fiesta, and he seems to be enjoying it so far.
I'm sure he will. It's the newest, lowest mileage car by a country mile.
Yeah, it's like a 31,000 miles, I think, or something.
Mm-hmm, which is a pretty big improvement. I think he'll enjoy it. Congratulations, and I know that you've loved yours for so long, and I've driven yours. It's a great little car, and it should be great. No problems whatsoever.
The Fiesta ST really is the predictable move from a Miata. If you need a hatchback, but you still want something fun, something that gets your jimmies going. I wouldn't maybe the Fiat 500 Abarth, maybe.
Depends on what you're looking for.
I guess so. The thing about the 500 Abarth is that it's not really that usable.
No.
To carry things or people.
The best way a 500 Abarth is usable is if you never put up the rear seats, so you have a fairly large cargo area, just have the rear seats constantly down.
You could do a trunk delete or a seat delete.
You could just do a seat delete, and then you have a fairly large cargo area by just the nature of not having rear seats.
Well, kind of.
Well, that's my point.
The trunk is fucking tiny. My trunk is tiny, and it dwarfs the 500 Abarth trunk.
But that's what I'm saying, is that if you delete those seats, you have a technically bigger trunk than what you would normally have in something like a Fiesta. It is a smaller car, so it's going to be smaller.
Yeah,
in
but
general.
seats down versus seats down. I mean, my car's
has a lot more room.
Yeah.
No doubt. But
I'm just thinking about when you and I were in the back seat of the Abarth and we had the slider trying to get beauty shots, and we were both extremely cramped.
Oh yeah, we were end to end, like it was very
small.
But where I'm getting with this is that, like, if you did that, it's more usable than it is with the seats up, especially because the seats are practically useless in the rear.
Yeah.
And it is very lively. Like, they can be made, they're different tools for different tasks in a way. The Fiesta is very communicative, very good at telling you what it's doing, gripping, things like that. The Fiat can do all those things well, but it does them with a natural Italian flair.
Yeah.
So it is a lot more shouty with most of what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's not that it's unpredictable. It actually is fairly predictable, but it will just show you little things here and there, like the exhaust popping, or like all of a sudden a little bit more dancing in a corner randomly when maybe the Fiesta would be a little more planted.
Yeah.
If that's more what you're going for, that's great. And they're dirt cheap.
It's a little. I would actually say the Fiat is more hyperbolic than the Fiesta.
Oh yeah, and I really enjoyed that. However, even though I really enjoyed the 500 Abarth, I'm not sure if I had to choose between those two cars, I probably would choose the 500, but it would be a close race.
Yeah. Because
the Fiesta is more usable, not just from having usable rear seats, unlike the 500, but also just, yes, if you put the seats down, you have even more cargo space.
There's that better fuel economy in the Fiesta.
Yep.
It's more stable in inclement weather.
Yep.
Like, imagine if I had that during this last year's winter.
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
yes, I would have Blizzex, but holy fuck.
That little short wheelbase would get pretty squirrely.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's squirrely enough just doing regular stuff.
And the traction control in the Fiesta is actually really intelligent.
Yeah. Whereas I can't speak any at all for the Fiat. I don't imagine it's good.
No.
The Italians don't do snow.
No. They don't know what that is.
They have no clue what that is. Even though they have the Alps, they generally stay in the sunshine part.
Yeah.
No, like it would be an interesting comparison. And I am sure not only is the Fiesta easier to find parts for, but also probably more reliable.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I mean, Fiats with either the 500 or what was the one that Stephanie had?
She had
500L.
Yes.
Like they have like weird turbo, like wastegate issues. I should ask Ryan and see what problems he had with his, but
they're kind of if you go like mini car hierarchy, quote unquote, literally Mini Cooper is kind of the bottom of the totem pole from reliability. They have lots of issues, constant 100,000, less than 100,000 engine blows, things like that.
Well, that's for the 56. I don't know what the more current reliability records are for like the newer ones.
And really, we won't know for another few years once they get more miles and time on them.
Yeah.
Fiat seems to be like one step above. The 1.4 multi-air generally seems to be a okay engine. Can have silly issues, but isn't like
those also have like really early like issues below 100K.
But that's why I'm saying they're like barely probably one step above, and then something like your Fiesta is several steps above that.
Yeah, as
far as the platform's pretty robust, generally don't have internal engine issues, stuff like that.
Right,
most of the time.
But it's also a Ford product, so like okay, I'm spacing on the word right now, but for the HVAC.
Oh, yes.
Blendor.
Blendor. Yep.
Yeah. Like Blendor actuators. It's not an if but when issue, and it's a clicking that goes like
when you turn it off or on or whatever.
So for me, and the type of issue I think is a per car basis, but when I turn my car on and when I turn it off and get out in a reasonable amount of time, because I like to be on my phone and when I pull into the garage or something.
Yep.
There like it won't click. It's only when you say deactivate the feet. If you have both high and like the upper and lower airs on at the same time, no problem. When you turn off like the feet air, it'll do it.
Yep.
I don't think it does it for the top if you turn off the top.
Yeah.
And if it'll happen after like probably 5 minutes if you're like still in the car, like after it's off, then it'll click. But
yeah, it's again normal weird Ford issues, just typical cheap shit. But well, anyways, I think we've probably been going for we've been going for a good amount of time now. So
sweet, cool. Well, thank you all for listening, and as this podcast was recorded, actually. We just dropped Mark 8 GTI DSG. We filmed that on Antelope Island. It was my buddy Jaden and I. Shout out to Tanner for lending us. I mean, Jaden took delivery, and he just drove it up with me.
Yep.
But thanks, Tanner, for lending us your car for me to take a poo on. I'm going to send you some photos. Not of me pooing on your car, but send you photos of the car.
That's an image.
Yeah, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching our videos. We have what we're working on Reliant Robin right now.
Which will be fun and interesting.
It will be fun and interesting. We definitely did some experimentation with the filmography, not the filmography, but just the narrative film aspect of it.
Yep.
So look forward to that. Well, the Mark 8 GTI is the last of our block, isn't it?
Yep. So there'll be probably around a month gap or so, and then we'll start dropping more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So be watching for that. Probably sometime late July, early August.
Cool.
Or
No.
late June, early August.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm a month ahead in my brain.
Words is tough.
Yep. And you'll probably see a few of them, 3 or 4 there, and a few of them you've already heard of. Robin's one, and
what else do we have? We have Robin. We have I revisit the Mark 5 R32 because I also took a poo on that
and get a little redemption there.
Yep.
There was one more we had filmed. Veloster N.
Yep.
And then we're actually going to film one today. So
yes, I didn't even talk about it because I drove it here. I guess tune in next week to see what that is about.
I guess we'll both have some more things to talk about with it next week.
I drove it here, but you're going to be on camera with it. So yeah, let's go for a drive, shall we?
Sounds good to me. Thanks, guys.
See ya. Bye.